Hello guys, welcome to my first YouTube video on this channel. My name is Julia and I'm a trader for over 3 years now, and I thought to myself, why not share a lot of thoughts I have on this channel and all my experiences and all my learnings I had over the years, and this is what the channel is going to be all about. In the future maybe there's going to be like a different kind of content style here on this page, but for now I really want to keep it simple, like not too much editing, not too much like the fancy stuff, just raw videos, me talking to you, me talking about my experiences. And yeah, today I want to talk about a very important topic in trading, which all of us can relate if you're a trader. And it's about losses. And I just want to share a bit my experiences with losses, how I handle them now after 3 years of trading. And I just want to give a little perspective shift on how to view losses and how I view losses now. First of all, I want to actually go back to when we were little. Like most of us grew up in a system where mistakes and losses were viewed as something bad and where you were punished for losses. Like example, in school, we all wanted to be good in school because we knew if we don't perform in school that we are getting punished for it with a bad grade. We always needed to have the best answers, and if we didn't, we got punished for it. And this is exactly what I want to emphasize, that don't blame yourself for thinking that losses are bad, because we are all kind of programmed like that, but you want to reprogram that as a trader, because we all have to understand that losses are simply a part of the game. We all as traders have losses. I have losses. Every trader out there has losses. And if there is a trader out there who is telling you that he or she doesn't have losing trades at all and has a 100% winning rate, then this is actually not a trader. Yeah, trading is, I think, even more about losing than about winning. Because what actually... a hair in my... There's a hair somewhere. Never mind. Because we have to really focus as traders on losing better and not actually winning better, especially in the beginning. If you want to get profitable, most people think that they have to just win more and win, like take even more trades and win more, but it's actually not focusing on winning too much, but focusing how you can lose better and how you can reduce losses. Like when you focus on losing better, then you're actually in that process going to reduce the losses. And when you are going to reduce losses, you are actually going to become profitable, because we all have winning trades. It's not that we don't have winning trades, but we just have a lot of unnecessary losses. And this is a point where I want to go next. There are good losses and good wins, but there are bad losses and also bad wins. Because if you have a losing trade and you stick to the plan, you perform the strategy, and you look at the trade afterwards, think to yourself, okay, that's actually a very good setup and this is a trade I would probably take again. And if you have that thought, then this was actually a good loss. This was not a bad loss, and you shouldn't blame yourself for that loss. Overall, you shouldn't blame yourself for losing in general, but that is something very important to understand, that not every loss is a bad loss. And also with winning, not every winning trade is a good win. If you didn't stick to your plan, stick to your strategy, and it was not a good setup overall, then you shouldn't be so happy about the win. You actually should look at the trade and always ask yourself, without knowing the outcome, is this a good setup? Is this a setup I would actually take ever again in the future if I would see it? And, is this a setup that I would want to look for when I backtest. Because if it is not a trade you would add or you would want to add to your backtesting, like a reservoir, I don't know how to call it, then you shouldn't take that trade, or you shouldn't be proud you took that trade. So overall, losses in trading are actually just part of your job. It's a part of doing business. Like losing is just a part of the game. You have to view every trade as a business transaction. You have to always think, you're always looking for the best deal, and you have to be willing to put money on the table in order for you to find out if it's a good deal or if it's a bad deal. And there also comes the stop loss in mind for me. Because when I began my journey, I did like everything wrong. And one thing I did wrong as well was not setting a stop loss. And this is like the most important rule. Don't think that you are a genius by thinking to yourself that you can't technically lose if you don't set a stop loss. I was thinking like that first when I started, but this is such a crazy thought, because I thought that you can go like negative on your account, and just when you don't set a stop loss that you can't lose, because if I don't close the trade, how could it be a trade where I lost money? Until I realized that you can actually blow your whole account if you hold too long. But even when I realized that, I thought to myself, yeah, but the trade is never going to go so much beyond my entry that it's going to blow my whole account. Until I realized that actually, yes, this can happen, and the trade doesn't have to go back to your entry for a very, very long time. So yeah, I blew a lot of accounts doing that, and I lost a lot of money doing that until I realized, okay, this is not working, and you actually have to manage your risk properly, because losing is not the problem. It's actually your reaction to your losses, and it's how you manage your losses, because we all have losses, and trading is just about managing risk or making money. But here's something that shifted my perspective on stop loss. I always thought like the stop loss is something bad, or it's something evil, or it meant for me, okay, when I set a stop loss and my stop loss gets hit, then I lost money. This is all I thought about. But how you actually have to see your stop loss is your employee. Imagine your stop loss is like your bodyguard. Your bodyguard protects you from getting more hurt than you actually should. Like imagine your stop loss to be your employee, and the employee is just here to do their job. If your edge doesn't work in the market right now, then think to yourself, okay, I will make this business transaction, but if my edge doesn't work in the market this time, then a stop loss is just here to manage the rest, to take care of the rest. This is the stop loss. Like the stop loss is actually protecting you. You have to realize this. Your stop loss is not your enemy. Your stop loss is your friend. Your stop loss is very, very good. Like when your stop loss gets hit, it just means that you had a wrong idea. Setting a trade is just having an idea and acting out on that idea. But if your idea is wrong and your stop loss gets hit, this is a perfect time to be wrong. And it's okay to be wrong. And it's okay to not be perfect. I can relate to this so much because I myself am such a perfectionist. I posted like 2 weeks ago on my story on Instagram that you actually get paid for perfectionism in trading. But you know what you get also paid for in trading? Knowing that, or accepting that you don't always can be perfect, and that trading not always, like you can't be perfect all the time. And realizing that and accepting that also pays in trading. So yes, perfectionism pays in trading, but also accepting that you can't be perfect all the time also pays you. I also want to talk about how to overcome a losing streak, because I had so many of these, especially in the beginning, and every trader has them, and even advanced trader have them, but just not as intense as when you are starting out. But how I overcame like these losing streaks is to actually look at my losses and to actually journal, because I can remember when I had a losing streak, let's say over 2 weeks. I had no single win over 2 weeks, and I was so frustrated because I had multiple losses in one day, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I was so into, you just know it when you are in this losing streak. You're frustrated. You don't know what to do. And I realized that I was looking away, and I didn't want to see that I was losing so much, because I thought, yeah, when I just brush it under the table, then I can't see it, so then it isn't real. But it actually is. Even if you don't realize it in your consciousness, it still is in your unconsciousness. And when you journal, even on the bad days where you have like back-to-back losses, it is especially important, like first of all, to journal at all, like every trade, because when you journal every trade on a losing day where you had like 10 losing trades, then you actually think to yourself, okay, if I do this every day and I journal every day 10 trades, like 10 losing trades, you're not going to take 10 trades anymore in one day, because journaling takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort to journal actually 10 trades, and it takes even more effort and, reflection and more courage to look at 10 losing trades. Like, to look at 10 winning trades, that's fun. But to look at 10 losing trades, this is not fun. So I realized, okay, I really have to journal every trade. This is step number 1. But step number 2 is how you journal. It is how you talk to yourself in your journaling. Because self-talk is so important and was one of the factors that actually made me profitable. Like, yes, acting out on the strategy and stuff like that is very important, and this is what actually makes you profitable, like taking quality trades and stuff. But reflecting on your trades actually makes you take better trades and makes you see, okay, it makes you see the pattern in real time when it happens. When you sit in front of the charts and you really looked at your losses a lot of times and reflected on them, then all of a sudden you're going to sit in front of the chart and see a setup that you think you see, but then you realize, oh, there is actually a pattern there. I see this pattern. I see that this is a pattern that I took over and over again in the past, and that I'm not going to take now, because I know that this is actually the pattern that I took in the past and that was causing all of my bad trades and losses. Like, for me, one of the biggest mistakes was jumping into the market because I had fear of missing out. When I saw a quick move to the downside, and I thought to myself, oh my god, if I don't go in there, then I'm going to miss the whole move. But what happened from there? It actually retraced to the upside. And that was just a Judas swing to the downside before we had the reversal to the upside. So I always got into the move in the leg down, in the manipulation leg. And, you only are able to recognize these things if you saw it over and over again and actually reflect on what you are doing wrong, you get out of the losing streak when you start to give yourself grace. Because what I always did in the past, I was blaming myself for taking a trade when it was a loss. But I never blamed myself for taking a bad win. I only was blaming myself when I took a bad loss. And this is what most of us do. We blame ourselves for making mistakes, and we blame ourselves for having losses. But what's actually going to happen when you blame yourself for your losses? You are going to go on a downward spiral. So this is actually why we stay in these losing streaks for so long, because when we are blaming ourselves, we are actually in the frequency of shame. And this is a low frequency. And if you're in a low frequency, then it's just going to continue down, 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 until you realize you have to get in a higher frequency emotion. Like you have to have a higher frequency. So what I did now, I started to improve my self-talk in my journaling. And how you're doing that is, first of all, you need to welcome the loss. That's the first thing. You have to go out of the resistance. So say to your loss, okay, welcome. Welcome, I welcome you. I accept you. And then when you accepted the loss, you need to give yourself grace for the loss and understand yourself and give yourself, you need to give yourself the feeling of understanding why you took this trade. Even if it's like a completely dumb reason why you took that trade. Because most of the time when we have a losing trade, it is like it didn't make sense at all. And you look at it in reflection and you think to yourself, oh my God, why didn't I see it? Why didn't I see it at that time that this is such a bad trade? But you have to give yourself grace that at that time you didn't see it, and that it's okay that you didn't see it. You have to say to yourself, of course you didn't see it. Of course you took that because you didn't see it. Give yourself grace and say, it's okay. It's okay. We are allowed to have losses. We are allowed to make mistakes. But how you respond to your losses, how you respond to your mistakes is what defines you as a trader. Okay? So, the third thing is gratitude. Thank yourself, be thankful for the lesson you learned from that trade, even if it was like the baddest trade you've ever taken. Because what actually makes you a good trader is when you look at your losses and take the greatest lessons from it. This is where the most growth happens. These are the steps. These are exactly the steps I'm taking now when I look at a loss. And, this is also what makes you fall in love with the game. You also see improvements so fast and so much when you look at your losses like that. I always write in my journal after that, oh my God, this is so good because now I have something new to work on. Now I see where my problem is, and I know if I solve this problem, then I'm going to be a better trader. So this is so life-changing. And I also remember a phase where I was so focused on losing, and I always expected, or I always went into a trading session already expecting that I am going to lose. And this might come from, childhood, because I thought about it the other day and I realized that when we played games, board games or card games in the past, when I was a child, I always was losing. Losing is a skill. I think not a lot of people talk about the skill of losing good. Do you know these kind of people that take the game so serious that when they lose, their whole world breaks apart? Like, they just can't lose. I would rather be a good loser than a good winner, because being a good loser requires humility. You can't be a good loser if you're not humble. Being a good loser actually means that you are aware that you don't know it all and that you are always a student of life, always a student of the game. But what I wanted to say is that I always went into the trading session with the wrong expectation. I always expected to have a losing trade. I always went into the session with the expectation of having a loss, with having a losing trade. And I thought that the answer to this is going to go into the trading session with only the expectation of winning. Like, I really, and I did that very well. I really was able to switch my mind to that mindset. But what I realized that this is not actually the solution, or that this wasn't actually the solution to the problem. What happened then? I went into the trading session with the expectation of winning, but the reality was that even when I went into the trading session with the expectation of winning, I wasn't always winning a trade. Then I realized if I go into the trading session with the expectation of losing, that that's not good. And that when I go into the trading session with the expectation of winning, that this is also not good. What is good then? And I realized that I was focusing on the outcome. And the outcome is not in my control. I need to focus what is in my control. And I realized that the only thing that I have in control is the quality of my performance, the quality of my decision making, the quality of selecting my trades well. So focusing on the input instead of the outcome. But yeah, I think I explained my perspective and how I think about losses very good and like in depth in this video, and I hope it helped you, and I hope maybe even if it was just one sentence, I'm glad I could shift your perspective and help you. So let me know in the comments if you like this video style and if I should go on with these videos. And yeah, if you have any questions, ask them down in the comments. But yeah, God bless. I hope you are all profitable or on the way to become profitable, and I'm here to help you with that. So yeah, subscribe to my channel. I would love if you leave a like, a thumb up if you actually like this video. So yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.